All right, well, let's move on to talk about some of the teams in the Premier League. Obviously, there's been so much talk about Manchester United. We had to touch on it this week. Apart from Man City, which we all know, Rob, who's standing out to you as a real deal this season? Because we've seen a few teams maybe not throwing the hat into the ring of the title race right now, but certainly standing up to be counted. Spurs have had a brilliant start. Brighton as well, who've just beaten Manchester United as well. Arsenal showing that they still mean business this season. Liverpool showing they could be back. Who stood out to you apart from Man City?
Well, I think there was obviously questions asked about Arsenal's mentality when the pressure really got tough at the end of that title race at the end of last season. There was questions about how Arsenal handled that, and I thought that they showed that they'd taken a step forward in that regard by winning at Everton at the weekend. I thought that was, it's probably not a game that everyone was looking at thinking, it wasn't a statement win, but it really showed that they have taken a step forward in those really tight, difficult games. And Goodison Park, however bad Everton are and have started the season poorly, at Goodison Park, when the fans get up, is a really, really tough place to go. So I know Michallik will value that win very, very highly, especially after what happened at the end of last season. The other two teams ahead of the season that I thought would be worth watching out for were Chelsea and Spurs. Just because they don't have European football, they've got weeks to prepare for these Premier League games. We've seen when Leicester won it that it was a very, very telling tool that they had time on the training pitch when all the other clubs, all these other challenges didn't have it. Leicester took advantage of it and won the title. Obviously, Chelsea haven't started particularly well. There's obviously some teething problems there with Pochettino. But Spurs, the players seem to have bought in very, very quickly to what Postecoglou wants to do. And when you've got a team who have done that very quickly with a new manager, and the manager is going to have time on the training pitch and playing once every week, while all these other teams are playing across Europe in midweek, and Spurs have got the entire week to focus on one Premier League game, that can be a very, very dangerous mix. And I'm certainly not saying that Spurs look right now like genuine title challengers, but if they are still in and about in the mix come the second half of the season, they would be very, very dangerous simply because they don't have the distraction of European football. Obviously, you've said there, City are favourites and favourites for a reason. But Arsenal and Spurs, to me, look like they could possibly get there or thereabouts.
Janusz?
Well, what I know is, what we thought we knew. Manchester City, I think Arsenal stands out because, was wondering, they need to keep up with Manchester City, and they have done that. We'll see what happens without Martinelli because that's a big blow. Because by the looks of it, I mean, they have players to fill in, but not in such way as Martinelli. There's nobody there that can play that role in the way that he plays. And he's going to be out, never mind Europe, but North London Derby's coming up this weekend, and I don't see a chance of him playing in that game. He's not going to be risked for that. So that's an obvious one. We can talk about Spurs because, they're going to lose under Ange. But what a beautiful scenario, right? With Ange Postecoglou not only coming back late in this game, but Richarlison, after that wonderful speech he had ahead of the game, the scenario was written, right? For Richarlison to score a beautiful goal and to have an assist as well. And, that just... takes so much pressure away from everybody, including Richarlison. So, because, when things like that happen, we kind of start feeling sorry for the player. But answering like that immediately puts a smile on everybody's face, regardless if you're a fan of Richarlison or Spurs as well. But, having said all that, these are maybe some of the obvious ones. But the biggest story is Brighton. It's not even close what they did it, to Manchester United. It's quite unbelievable. We knew that they're going to keep a certain level, but they look better this season than they looked last season. And this is after losing Caicedo and McAllister in that midfield. Pascal Gross, maybe the most underrated player in football in general, never mind Premier League. On that goal that he scored 30 passes, and although he didn't touch the ball very often, but kept the rhythm, changing the point of attack from right to left, showing for the ball, wanting the ball, keeping that play alone alive. And then, he's been doing this almost every game, right? We're just afraid to give him enough credit because there's always an Erling Haaland hat trick or somebody else scores an unbelievable goal and we're like, yeah, Pascal Gross, right. But he does that week in and week out. Tariq Lamptey. Come on. I forgot that he's there to a degree because Pervis Estupiñán is playing out of his mind, and in comes Lamptey, 2 goals, assists, just incredible. So again, the tweak, the way they play, how much risk they take. It seems like the Zerbi and Brighton are getting better and better. And I didn't think they could build on what they did last season. Here we are. You know, who they get hammered by? Aside of that one game, they're in the 5th spot right now. Who they lose to? I don't know, West Ham, or I can't remember. Help me out, guys. You know, that one game where for whatever reason they didn't play. They are the story of last weekend